I don't need the Grammys. It's not about the money. God gave me something. The best thing I can do is give it away. I have this whole setup here, and I brought this portable studio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to point these speakers this way. And I know you have a baby coming. And the best way I can say thank you for having me on your space is to give you my gift. And my gift is the gift of resonance, frequency, and vibration that shows up in music. Let's take this thing to church, my friend.
What's up, Savages, and welcome back to another episode on the Business Savage podcast. Today, I have the honor of introducing to you a friend of mine for the last 4 years now, I think about 4 years or so, and you are in for a very real treat. Garrain Jones is our guest today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Garrain is a world-renowned figure in personal development and has earned his place as one of America's top 25 personal development coaches. As an international inspirational speaker, the baby is going nuts with you, podcaster, and best-selling author of the life-changing book, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life, Garrain's impact on countless individuals is immeasurable, mine included. Garrain's journey is a testament to the power of perseverance and the ability to overcome adversity. From being burdened with a staggering $250,000 debt and living out of his car, he has risen to become a millionaire through his unwavering dedication to meaningful work. His remarkable story has impacted millions, helping them to be on the right side of making the world a better place for future generations to come. At the core of Garrain's philosophy lies a profound belief in the transformative power of tapping into our truest and most creative essence. He firmly believes that by unlocking this inner potential, we open the doors to endless possibilities for abundance and personal transformation. Garrain's teachings and insights have empowered individuals from all walks of life to break free from limitations and embrace a life of purpose, fulfillment, and unlimited abundance. Garrain Jones' extraordinary journey and true unwavering commitment to helping others unleash their true potential have made him a true luminary in the field of personal development. Garrain, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm like, sometimes I'll take myself outside of myself to
back.
like hear it. And as if I was another person, I'm like, it's an interesting person. I probably want to listen to that.
Yeah, they do. They do want to listen. And I want to close my eyes for just a moment. And I just want to introduce you from my heart because for those of you that have been listening to the show for any amount of time, especially the last year of my life, you have seen the transformation and the evolution of what I like to call taking off the armor and taking off the bulletproof vest and truly allowing this feminine energy to emerge. And you may or may not know this, but you have been so influential in that happening.
No, I don't know.
And so I will share a story in a moment when we really dive into things. But the way that you lead, the way that you are so devoted to your wife, the way that you have created a safety for women who are in their masculine, heavy energy, like I so strongly was, creating a space, and it was almost like this invitation for us to explore our feminine side and know that it would be safe to do so without there being any kind of a sexual energy attached to that. I just it brings tears to my eyes, and I just thank you for creating that space.
You're so very welcome, my friend.
When I met you, I was in not a happy relationship and followed by another. And it took having a friend like you and a guide like you and a figure like you in my life to make me realize what was possible and the type of energy that I was seeking. And so
wow, I didn't know that. It's like you never know the ripple of one or two conversations. So to have it come back, I'm just receiving. So thank you so much.
Yeah. And I know a lot is going to come from this conversation. And so many of the things that I have learned and that I really embodied have come from your teachings as well. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with you and everything that you are creating. And I just think it's such a perfect time with what I'm creating as well. So Transformation Coach is, I guess, technically one of the titles.
So we're
How do we put the title of Garrain even in it?
If I could sum up God in flesh form, because we're created in the image of God, so I'm not going to see anything less than myself through God's eyes. If I could sum up that multidimensional being that knows how to harness practicality, I would say wizard of art. That's the best way I can describe all of the hats that I wear and who I am as an entire collective being. Wizard of art.
Okay. All right.
Magical being who's willing to do anything to protect and provide for his family and can easily shift into nurturing a baby and then holding somebody's vulnerable tears.
Yeah, the masculine and the feminine. Let's take it back a little bit because some of the listeners may or may not know who you are and bits of your story, and it's been a massively wild adventure of everything that you've been through and the bits and pieces that I have heard, and prison really being the thing that like freed you. That's always stuck out in my brain. I remember you saying that multiple times, and it was like the thing that took your freedom was the thing that freed you.
Yeah.
And so whatever bits and pieces of your story you feel called to share to kind of paint the picture of where you were and really the journey of transformation that you have been through.
Yeah. Well, since you mentioned the prison story, I would love to bring that to the fold. There was a time in my life where I didn't know what personal growth was. All I had was a ripple effect of the environment that I was domesticated in, which was my mom's at work, my brother was too cool to hang out with me, and so I was this strange kid who was like, I feel like we're not the only ones here. When people are looking at cartoons, I'm like looking at the stars thinking there's got to be something else. And so I got called weirdo for a long time. But at that time, the only people that would hang out with me were troublemakers. So naturally, you are the 5 closest people who you surround yourself around. And when I hung out with certain gang members, certain people who did drugs, certain people who broke into homes, naturally, I started doing everything that they were doing. It wasn't that I was just wanted to do that. You just naturally start doing what you hang out with the most. That's how energy works. Energy goes where energy flows. One thing led to another. I'm getting suspended from school. I'm getting kicked out of school. I'm going to alternative school. I'm going in and out of juvenile. I'm going to jail. And then you don't just change. Something's got to interrupt that process. So I just kept if you know how ABCs works, you do that over and over and over. ABCs turns into words, sentences, essays, paragraphs, books. Well, the ABCs of theft and stealing and being unworthy and seeking approval and trying to fit in with groups that you probably necessarily wouldn't hang out with, but they're the ones that give you the attention. I hung out with them. So my ABC evolution into encyclopedia version of that little boy was now facing a 12-year prison sentence for smuggling drugs. Over there, I was dating, I think it was like Miss France, one of those years. And so I'm like living this high life as a model and all this other stuff. She goes out of town and I meet some guys that I knew from LA. I didn't know them, but I knew of them because they were the ones that would pop in the bottles with all the girls and the nice cars. I wanted that life. I knew I was meant to have a big life, but I just didn't know how. So when I asked, they said, drive this car over this border. I knew it was bad. I didn't know what was in the car, but I knew what I was doing was bad. I did that route 6, 7 times. On the 8th time, I got caught. And it ended up being 6.2 kilos of heroin. Now, what is crazy about this story is still to this day, the most anti-drug person you will ever meet, never had a sip of alcohol in my life. So I was the furthest away from anyone ever associating me with drugs, even to this day. So the fact that I'm now in prison in the height of my modeling career for smuggling drugs, it threw everyone off. Well, and then now to close the story out, they gave me 12 years. You have a baby on the way. I just had a daughter. And I didn't think, and this is why being selfish is not going to lead you to a great place. I was only focused on myself and the money. But then that blocked out. I have a daughter. I'm about to book this movie. There was all these beautiful things that was happening. And my greed took me to a place of confining me into these four walls that I was going to go see the next 12 years. But it was the prison. And you don't have to go to, and I want everybody to hear this. You don't have to go to prison like I did to be in prison inside of a relationship you know you don't want to be in and you stay in it. In a job you know you damn well you don't want to be in and you stay in it. Around certain friends that are sucking your soul dry, but you just have attachment issues and you keep them around. That's a prison. So I want everyone to listen to this story from that lens. I'm serving 12 years. And then while I was in there, we were allowed to watch movies once a month. And Shawshank Redemption, which was a movie that was based out of prison, came on. And Tim Robbins, the lead actor, says they can take anything they want away from me, but they can't take away my mind. I'd never heard anything like that. The moment he said that, I was free because I realized I wasn't in prison for the reason why I was in prison. I was in prison because every day while I was free, I used to always say, I feel like I'm so far away from where I'm supposed to be. I feel like I'm in prison inside of my own body. Well, if you say that every single day, thoughts actually become things, especially concentrated thoughts. You just don't realize how powerful you are. So when I was in there, I was like, well, if I can put myself in prison, in that case, I'm a free man. What would a free man do? And a little voice, everybody's had that hunch or a little voice. A little voice said, everything you used to love to do as a child that brought you the most joy. Well, what does that mean? I'm in prison. And what's that voice? But I started to remember, I used to love to draw. I used to love to paint. I used to love to sing. Why did I stop? I used to love to run. Why did I stop? To please everyone else outside of me, which is the real prison. So in prison, I found more freedom that I've had since I was a child. And when I felt free, I'm running and all these inmates are running with me. Less fights, less drug deals, less people stabbing each other. I'm painting portraits of other people's family members. I'm singing all through the halls and people are like, man, every time you sing, it makes me feel free. Something was happening to me by taking my gift and giving it away. But all this was unconscious of me. You can't see the picture while you're in the frame. When I felt free, and I really want people to get this, when I felt free, not when I fought for freedom, because you can't fight for something you already have. When I felt free, magically 2.5 years of my prison sentence, they had no reason to retest the drugs. They tested the drugs 3 times, 6.2 kilos of heroin. So magically, when I feel different, feeling is the secret. I feel free. 90% was fake, and for the amount of time you've already done, for the amount that was real, you've already done the time, you're free to go home.
Insane.
So that formula, I've studied, I've traveled all over the world, 97 countries. Anytime I went to go speak, to gather data, research, what was that powerful that it could override anything a human could come up with? And I kept coming back to God and God and God and God and God. And then I was like, wait a second. Nikola Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets in the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Well, what has energy, frequency, and vibration in it? Me, you. Oh, we're the secret to the universe. So if we actually be who we actually were designed to be, there's no human that can stop the divinity within you.
You give my whole body chills, which I know is exactly what we're doing. It's frequency. It's literally what's happening. I would love to bring this to a place of something that I feel like a lot of people struggle with and a lot of people are listening to. And it's such a beautiful segue because We talk so much about manifestation. We talk so much about, well, just stop thinking that way. Change your patterns, change your thoughts, change your behaviors. And I believe it's so much deeper than that. And I know that that's something that you talk about and you preach. To anyone who's listening, I get this question all the time. Well, how do I live a happier life? Well, how do I just stop thinking like that? Well, I wish I could be that way. They're going to listen to you. They're going to be super inspired by that. But they're thinking like, well, like, okay, so what's the step 1, step 2, step 3? Like, what's the medicine I take?
For the linear mind.
Right. Yeah.
In which we were trained through public education.
Like they just, it's so out there. They're like, well, what do I do right now? Do I journal something? Do I read a book? Like they need that.
Here's the practicality. Once a week, 15 minutes. If you don't have the time for you, then you probably don't deserve to be happy. So 15 minutes of devoted time where you recall one thing that made you happy when you were a child, whether it's playing with Barbies, running around the house naked, listening to your favorite songs, singing karaoke, whatever it is. And if you don't remember, ask somebody that was around when you were a little kid. And all I'm inviting you to do is to not have the adult do it. Just imagine you're the child and give yourself permission to express yourself in a way that makes you happy. Why is that important? Because we're vibrational beings. We're not a shell in a meat suit. There's a soul on the inside. You can't see it, but you can see the effect of it. And that's why I always say you're born looking like your mom and dad, but you will die looking like your decisions. So in the non-physical realm, the universe don't speak in English. So it doesn't speak practicality. It speaks frequency and vibration. So when you tap into and raise your vibration, as you raise your vibration, you can literally see how plastic and malleable this universe is. It will map itself and mold itself around the vibration that you're in. So that's why I'll be like, oh, affirmations don't work. No, affirmations that you don't believe in don't work. But when you say something, so many people believe their lies. And so their life literally becomes a physical representation of a lie masked as truth and wonder why the breakdowns keep happening. Well, you can't outrun yourself. You can go to Pluto and be like, well, I escaped. I changed my name. I had this. And you still keep attracting the same issues and problems. Why? Because there's nothing that you can do on the outside that can hide from the inside. So when I say, go and play for 15 minutes and take that little kid inside of you that probably gave up on being a superhero, gave up on Barbie dolls because you're too grown or whatever, but it made that version of you happy. Adults are deteriorated children. So if you could tap into when you had the most energy, the most ideas, the most fun, the most creativity, and it was unlimited, the most curiosity, the most wonderment, I wonder what that could bring to your sex life, your money life, your creativity life, whatever you're doing out in the world, but just give it a charge from someone who has the most energy. And that's the little kid inside of you.
Yeah. So many people can consciously desire a different life and say the words, I don't like this relationship. I don't like my business. And in coaching, you probably hear this all the time. Well, what do you want? Well, I don't want da 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 da. And I'm like, no, I didn't ask you what you don't want. I asked you what do you want? They can consciously desire change, but energetically and vibrationally still be attracting the same and living in the frequency of the exact same thing. And they'll be in that cycle forever.
I will sit down with a client. And some of my coaches that I'm training and developing right now, they're like, why do you take so long on their intention? Normally the intention, I get them to say their intention happens in 2 minutes. Garrain, you will spend 30 minutes on getting their intention. I was like, do you notice what happens after that? They're like, what? The breakthrough happens 2 minutes later. I was like, you'll spend 2 minutes on the intention and the breakthrough rarely ever happens because I'm trying to get their words and what they say they want matched with the resonance in their body so that it's aligned, so that you're not contradicting yourself from your soul and you're saying what you think you want to hear, but your soul is saying something else. So what I'm looking for is words that match the tingling sensation, and all of a sudden your body starts moving or anything. I'm like, I'm noticing that your hand is sweating. What's that? So I'm pointing out all the things that I'm making myself aware of that they don't even know. I was like, why is there a twitch when I asked you about this thing? So to get to the truth that's in their soul, that's my only job. Because once you can feel it in your body, the transformation is easy. That's easy. So now I'm going to just lead you to what your soul wants, not what you think you want.
Yeah, which is beautiful because I hear so often people say, well, I don't know what my purpose is, right? Business, whatever it is. I don't know what my purpose is. Well, what do you want? I don't know what I want. I just ran a retreat called Vision. What's the vision? What are we tapping into? I don't know. And so it sounds like you have an ability to help them see what that is.
Well, maybe it's clarity. Maybe your vision is to have clarity for your vision. And that can be the first step to your vision. They're like, I never really thought, I want clarity. And then once you get there, what's your next vision? Absolutely, yeah.
I want to segue into the magic that you're creating right now. Being birthed through you. We'll call it that. Being birthed through you. But I want to start with this because this is really relevant for a lot of people listening to this. I have a large amount of women that listen to this show that had difficulty speaking their truth.
Yeah.
And that shows up in business. Because the second that thing is on, all of a sudden this beautiful natural conversation, they can't speak because that thing's on. And they know the world is listening and everybody else is watching. And now they're thinking about what everyone else is thinking about them. And they physically can't speak and they can't let it out. And so I think it's a segue from what we were talking about into what you create.
Yeah.
What is happening? What is going on? Why do we have this on purpose, on self thing that's happening where the natural ability to communicate is cut off when all of a sudden we realize the world is going to hear it?
How deep would you like to go?
As deep as you want to go.
Okay. There's a reason why the number one fear in the world is public speaking. Even more than death. That's a statistical fact.
It's called glossophobia.
So public speaking doesn't come from the throat. It comes from the sacral chakra. The confidence, that's where the confidence, the resonance, confidence comes from. And so when you, even as a baby, hear songs like, hush, little baby, don't you cry. That's programming the baby to hush their expression.
Don't you cry.
Don't you cry. So the babies get it, and parents innocently sing these songs. Everything is programming. You go to school and there's like a bell and there's assembly line and fluorescent lights and crappy food, and you don't realize what that programming is doing. And they're programming you in a straight line. Class of 98, and they will keep you in that straight line. But meanwhile, as an entrepreneur, it's like this. And most people that try to be entrepreneurial, they're just like, but they're so hooked on the straight line. So all of it comes from programming. And then when you got women who have been forced to come up in a man's world for their entire identity, you then start to slowly become that of your oppressor. And so when the roles start switching and then the men start being lesser than because they can't take that energy of which they created, now everybody's confused. And when everybody's confused energetically, that passes on right into the DNA and everything. So where does the not speaking? When a woman is in her innate nature, her essence. She has zero issue speaking. It's oftentimes when anyone is trying to be something that they're not, there's a forcibility to it. And there's a resonance. And it don't come from the wisdom of the body. It comes from the forcibility of the throat. And I teach singing for a living. So it's like I can hear when somebody's forcing something out and it's not coming from a natural state. This is where anxiety comes from, stress comes from, dis-ease in the body, wrinkles come from because it weighs on your spirit and your soul starts to sag. I learned that from a 103-year-old that looked in her early 70s. So most people in the world are mismanaging energies that aren't even theirs because of women had to be forced to come up, and it was like in order for them to get seen, they had to do twice as much. And it's like, no, I can do this, and boss babe, and this bitch, I'm a bitch, and all this other stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, that is the least of their real power. My wife, who had a $500,000 business before she met me, competition, all this other stuff. Here's the power of a woman who didn't even know her true power. Baby, I'm tired. Soft eyes, soft shoulders. I didn't tell her to do it. She's just like, I don't want my hair to fall out no more. Something's not right. I don't want to have to do what I did in order to get here. And she looked at me. She said, baby, will you take care of me? It's not what she said. It's the energy that she was in. Women are emotional beings. So that energy isn't just energy. The power of the entire ocean inside of a woman who doesn't even know who she is. A fragment, because if she did, there would be nothing that she needed to do. And so 90% of the wins that you see me have come from suggestions that come from my wife's intuition when she's in that energy baking fucking bread. I think you should join this thing. I never would have thought of that. She was like, I just got a hit last night. And I was like, oh, wait a second. There's something happening here that is completely out of my jurisdiction of understanding. But I love my wife, but there's nothing she actually needs to do because in her being, she gains access to this level of intuition I couldn't touch with a 1,000,000,000,000-foot pole. And I watched it. I watched the power when we had our home birth, and I watched my wife have like tiger eyes. It was the craziest thing that I'd ever seen. And she had this low guttural growl. And I looked and I was like, ooh, that is a power I've never seen. And if I wasn't grounded and stoic inside of my own self, I would be radically insecure. So my theory is when man in the beginning saw the creators, and I know you need a man, but the ones that could actually give birth felt like it was the closest thing to God. And I felt like that is what had man push a woman down and call her queen, and which is underneath. And I do not think it with every fiber of my being that a woman is underneath a man. She's beside a man. It's a team. It's a coalition. And the moment me and my wife became that, that's where the 100X came from. But most of it came from her suggestions when she was in that energy. If she's not in that energy, doesn't work out. And so that's my theory that is proving itself right inside of my household. So she's doing less and being more, and somehow I just happen to be the conduit that can carry it out. Her hair's not falling out. It's growing in rapid race. she's getting younger. It doesn't make sense, but cosmically it does, especially if we're tapping into our innate design, not our human force design. That's what I feel.
Mm-hmm. You touched on a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
There. Answered the question and so much more. And so I want to get into this in a second, because I really want to talk about what's being born through you, like literally what's being created through you. The last thing I want to say, and maybe you have more to say on it, because I know that there are a lot of women who listen to this show and who so desperately want to be able to surrender, and they so desperately want to be able to find that safety. But because it's almost like they're energetically battling in that space, they're attracting men who aren't there.
100%.
And so it's putting them into this state of, well, I can't find that masculine energy because they are in it. And so they're not being able to attract it. Maybe Blair's a better person to ask that question to.
I'm going to say this. What if we had it all wrong? What if every time a woman says, I want my king to rise, she's actually talking about herself? I know who you are in energy. So when a woman can experience the depths of her design, she will find safety in God. And when she finds safety in God, she will attract a man that is in the frequency of God. You heal the womb, and I want every lady to hear this. It's not man womb. It's called womb man. Heal the womb. It gives birth to the man. You will attract that which you are. When I was pursuing a relationship with my daughter, and this is how I know how powerful a woman's suggestion is, projection. I was pursuing a relationship with my daughter. There was about 20 women around me that was just seeing what I was doing. And all I was doing was, I'm a caller. I was asking them for advice. What do women want? We want to feel safe, seen, heard, and acknowledged. And I was like, damn, wow, that's new for me. I didn't even know that. But I just kept going and kept going and kept going. And then the week that my daughter had accepted a date from me, about 15 women all had breakthroughs with their dad, whom they had no relationship with. I'm like, why is this all happening at the same time? This one Indian lady who, and it's not even part of their culture for their dad to take them on a date. It like straight up, I haven't talked to my dad in 15 years. The week that I took her on a date, her dad called her and asked her to go on a date.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is it about a woman who's just seeing me doing what I'm doing, and their relationships with their dads are changing without many conversations happening? That's what put me on the trail to discovering more about and like really looking at the frequency and the energy that the woman holds, and studying frequency is because I was like, wait, everybody's relationship with their dad is changing. I'm like, oh, because they see a different example of a man in me, and they're picturing me as their dad and my daughter as them. And all of a sudden their relationships with their dad is changing. What kind of wizardry? And all of a sudden when it turned into like 30 something women, and then I got the relationship with my daughter, all of a sudden I met my wife, Blair, a week later, and I knew that was my wife the moment we connected on our first date. And I was like, oh, wait, no. I think women have a power they don't even realize that they have just by looking at something a certain way. There's nothing that they even needed to do. They just, I imagine it like this. And if that wasn't some wizardry type stuff, and I was like, wow, That's when I became an all-in ally for women. I was like, yo, you don't even realize the powers you got, but you got to get out of this doing economy because that energy is strangling you from your essence. And the moment you practice the essence, I know, but it's not coming in enough. Yeah, but the person that's speaking with those veins in your neck, I promise you, it's not doing well on your nervous system, even if you have the money and all that stuff to show for. There's a better way. And when that thing flips, it's like a baby learning how to walk and get up, sit down, then all of a sudden there's a balance happens, but everybody's balance is different. When that thing flips, you will think that God himself goes, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. Here's the world of abundance. Oh, maybe that's why they keep women down, so that they don't know who they really are.
This is
But I
literally my
see it.
story.
Huh?
Literally my story.
I see it.
Yeah. It's literally been my story. So strong in my masculine, so strongly building and just doing more. And so many women are in that, especially female entrepreneurs, the boss babe era, right? And I preach this so often now that your power is actually in your feminine. So what does that mean? I just got to put my feet up more and rest, let things come to me. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and they're in their head and not in the wisdom of their body.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they ask, well, what does that mean? And I have difficulty describing it. I have difficulty explaining the knowing, the feeling, the connection to your body. It physically feels like armor has been lifted off of every cell of my body. And I didn't even realize until you just said this, but what happened in my husband was I healed my relationship with God, and then I was able to really commit to him, and then we got pregnant.
Boom. That is the confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
That is the confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting emotional thinking about it, because when those trickles start happening, it's like, scale that one. That's the one you scale, because it will have you live longer. It will have you way healthier. That dis-ease, whatever these aches and cracks in the body, those things will go away. And you're like, oh, my shoulder healed. And no, what happened is you tapped into your divine nature, your unique design. And anything that's in alignment with nature will always flow. Anything that's out of alignment will always cause chaos. That is nature's promise. You drop a seed into the ground, give it proper water and sunlight. Whatever the health of the seed determines the growth of the tree and the fruit that it produces. So the physical equivalent of your life is the fruits of the seeds that you bear through your thoughts.
Let's talk about what you're creating. Let's talk about what has come alive for you.
Yeah. So I looked at my life and I was like, looking at best-selling books, spoken to 2.7 million people live on stages globally, and done all the things. And something was missing. And I was just like, ugh. So the game I play on myself is, well, if my good enough is better than other people around me, that's where I'll hide. But damn, I'm not being who I'm called to be. I played a game where it looks a certain way, but I know it ain't the real, fully authentic Garrain. Because every time I do all this stuff out there that people would see, a little voice says, Garrain, what about your music? Well, that person hurt my feelings and stole credit from me and didn't da-da-da. And I said, F music in 2009. I never went back, never talked to anybody, never gave anybody an explanation on why I left. And also at the same time, I was using music to get women. I disrespected a gift that God had given to me. I didn't know how to honor. I didn't know about devotion until I met my wife. And I was like, oh, anything that is a gift from God should be honored with devotion. And the promise is everything will be taken care of. You don't have to worry about the everything. That's the God part. What you have to worry about is, can you be a committed heart? Can you be in devotion? I knew that because that's who I am with my wife. So when I decided to go back to music, I had a really clear conversation. I'm like, God, 46, having a debut album, it's spoke to my friend. She was like, no, Garrain, you're timeless. Oh my God. So here I am questioning, should I come back to my favorite, my greatest capacity to create? And I'm questioning it. And this is what God put me here to do this. And I'm avoiding it since 2009. I was like, okay, well, I can't find anybody who I trust to be in the studio with that's sensitive enough to really understand my process. I didn't know God was trying to say, no, you're the one that's got to create the music, but I don't know how to play the piano. I'm afraid of wires. Software? No, I hire people for this. Garrain, create the music. So I sat down and get up for my 420 runs. And as soon as I'm done, I come to and learn scales, and I just like, no, my hands don't go this way. Oh, and I'm crying and I'm cursing. What the fuck am I doing? And it's all these software things. And I was like, and every single thing that I have avoided since I was a child came up during this process. Things that I've avoided in marriage, in intimacy, in parenting, in business, things that I disguised by saying, oh, I hired a person to do this, but really it's something I'm afraid of. And my friend goes, well, you can just sign up for AI and they'll do it in 5 minutes. And I was like, well, I also don't want to outsource God. And there's a time and a place for everything, but I'm afraid of this process for a reason. I'm not going to have anybody do it in 5 minutes. So whatever the version of me that's on the other side of this afraid, this is my new shaman. So I went in. 4 days I was creating my new song. I played it for my friend. They were like, yo, how did you... And this is a friend that sold 150 million albums and, I mean, just like global sales. They were like, how did you get this good that fast? I've always been this person. I just never gave myself the permission to be the real me because of things that I avoided in every genre of my life. 4 days, song, then another song, then another song. They were like, how are you doing this? No, when you are designed and destined to do something, it's not about speed. Now you're on God's wings. And I heard a voice say, here's the title of the album, Songs in the Key of Truth. Do not tell a lie. Speak to the heart of humanity. It needs retuning. It is tuned down. 440 hertz on purpose. 1939. They hit all the bells. They broke all the bells. That's a disruptive frequency when not accompanied by higher frequency. So right now, the global sound of humanity is at 440 hertz. And that is accelerating suffering. I am probably one of the many geniuses of the world that understands a high deal of energy, frequency, and vibration because that was my 15-year study on what got me out of prison. So that's all I've been doing every day for 15 years. You talk about more than 10,000 hours. I probably got 1 million hours because when you're operating from your multidimensional self, that doesn't operate off human time. So what I'm creating, they call it music. And I'm honoring the gospel of God through my vessel. Every sound, I'm a drummer by nature. I know how to drum something and hit and break up energy in the body. I've been doing it for years. The way in which I use my voice, I know every vowel sound that somebody needs to go in order for the energy to come out. So taking my skill set of energy, frequency, and vibration and all of my many stories to speak into the heart of humanity so they don't feel like they're alone, to be able to elevate that energy. So they're all songs or little miniature retreats. What I do at my retreats, I can do in a song. And I didn't realize that until I faced the difficulty. So I'm creating music, an album called Songs in the Key of Truth. First single is called Rhythm of Nature. It's how I went from poverty into the abundance frequency, and teaching people how I did it. But it's a smacking beat that I made on a plane next to a guy playing Fruit Ninja. I was like, if anybody has any idea that I'm changing the world in real time right now, and I'm like, this is crazy. And this is what I'm doing. And it's not even about the age. It's not about the genre. It's none of that. I'm creating my own genre. What is the genre? Rock and soul. Well, what's that? Something that comes from the depths of my soul, and I know how to move your body. I know people want to dance. I know they entertain to escape. This time they're going to entertain to heal and transform and be educated and be informed. And I know what sounds people want to hear. I know what they want to hear. And so I'm creating that. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be magical. People are going to cry to me like, damn, me too. And I'm not joining in with this dopamine culture where people are now taking 5-minute songs and turning it into 120 just to feed the TikTok algorithm. I am making real records, and I'm allowing creation to create how long it is, and I'm not limiting it for one bit. I have a song that is honoring all moms, but I'm talking about my mom. It's called Mama's Resilience. If anybody had any clue what it was like for my father to be murdered and my mom had to take the hefty weight of 2 boys and figure out life and do whatever she had to do to put food on the table, somebody breaks into our house, burns the house down, and I watched it, and we had to be sent away, and she always figured it out. My resilience is my mom's resilience. I get to talk about that on a song, and I'm not limited to 1minute and 20 seconds. That's my motherfucking mama. She gets 9-minute song. And it's going to speak to women in a way that they've never been honored in a record. The real, the raw, the honesty, and the honoring. All of my songs will have that level of depth in the soul. And if you're ready to feel and remember and move on certain songs and just be like, damn, and cry. Got a song called Big Mama, talking about my grandmother. I'm like, thank you for keeping this family together. And on her deathbed, I said, Big Mama, I got it from here. And that's the chorus of the song. That is what I get to bring to humanity during a time people are not feeling, they're not connecting, there's no family sitting at the dinner table. And I'm like, enough with this fuckery going on in the world right now. We need each other. It ain't about black or white, all the shades of wheat. Beings need each other. We need tribe. We need community. And if you can't look past the differences, you'll turn into a robot. That's probably why the linear training, so that you think in your mind and not in the wisdom of your body, so that when truth actually comes, you second guess the wisdom to lie in the false wisdom.
When do you think that you're going to be able to share it?
So we have a fake calendar. January 1st is not our real January.
Right.
That's human creation. Because I follow the moon cycles every 28 days, which would mean the real New Year is somewhere around when the flowers bloom, April Fools. So when the flowers bloom in 2026, that is when my album will come out. Because I follow the algorithm of God. There's a lot of algorithms on social media. All they're doing is duplicating winter, spring, summer, fall. So that's the outsourcing of God. I'm now meeting people who are showing up in person like the algorithm of Instagram. I'm like, oh, fuck. no, thank you. I'll play the game, but I'm going to play this game right here. And so I'm going to follow that calendar. And then when the flowers bloom, the album will be out. First single is Rhythm of Nature. It is so fun. I co-wrote it with Shawn Mendes. He's a great buddy of mine and an extraordinary artist. He held for me, I held for him, and we were in the studio and we just created magic. It's just magic. I just want to do epic things with epic humans. And yeah, that's the first single, and we're gonna have fun and we're gonna dance. And it's gonna be magical, and it's gonna be longer than 1 minute and 30 seconds, so that you can like jam it and be like, "Oh, let me play it again." 10 seconds later, nope, I'm not following the dopamine epidemic. I'm gonna teach you patience because that's part of your nature, and that's also one of the highest forms of leadership. If you don't have patience, you're definitely not going to get a quality wife or a quality husband. You're definitely not going to raise conscious kids if you don't have patience. If you don't have patience, you won't be able to see out the fruits of a gift that God has given you. So I'd rather tap into the source that allows all babies to come through, all flowers to bloom, all trees to last, and a field of like tulips to do what they do. I would rather just tap into that source. And if only one person listens, that's enough. I don't need the Grammys. It's not about the money. God gave me something. And the best thing I can do is give it away.
How beautiful. Is that a good segue?
That's a great segue.
Okay.
So what I want to do for you, as you can see, I have this whole setup here, and I brought this portable studio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to point these speakers this way. And I know you have a baby coming. And the best way I can say thank you for having me on your space is to give you my gift. And my gift is the gift of resonance, frequency, and vibration that shows up in music. So based off of how I feel right now, baby, universe don't speak in English. It speaks in frequency. And so that baby, just like you can structure water, you can structure the water in the embryonic fluid. And so when it feels the frequency, that becomes a language. So I want to say thank you by pointing these speakers directly here, and I'm going to create a soundscape for you and your baby and your family.
I'm so honored.
And I don't know what this is going to be, but I'm just going to tune in. Do you have a name for him?
I do, but I can't share it on here.
Okay, so as long as you have a name, I would love to invite you to close your eyes and hold his name in your womb. And we are going to create something. Slow it down. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, here we go. So let's record that. Ba, 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 ba. Hold on. See, in the creative process, you can never bring in judgment. It's all about, in the creative process, it's everything is game. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, keep them in the same spot, but we're gonna get it. And I want you to feel him as we go. I'm gonna put these speakers right here and angle them right here. Watch this. Ba ba da da. He's gonna like this one. He is gonna like this one right here. Now, Just listen to that. Now I want you to pay attention when I stop. So that is called resonance. Resonance bypasses the brain. And so the attack on the world is on disrupting you from being able to trust what's truth inside. And so the moment I stop, it changes the biology of the body. So when I play it again, notice what happens in the body. start to take shape, what you're hearing is a resonant field. It's very similar when you get three people that like each other and they start vibrating, and that energy that you feel when y'all are all connected is exactly what I'm doing with the sounds. It creates a resonant field, and that field is the non-verbal thing that gets disrupted by society on purpose. And so they poison the food, the water, the schools, and all this other stuff so that you don't tap into what you're tapping into right now, because that's where the truth resides. Oh, that can be special. Hold on one second. Okay, let's take this thing to church, my friend. Oh, let's record that. Let's record that. We are building a field right now. Okay. What we're gonna do is now. You just pay attention to the body. You turn it off. You turn on one thing. And you can just notice what happens in the body. That low sound goes right into the womb. And I can slow it down. watch what happens when I speed it up. Play one more instrument. Bring in some bass. So that was my gift for you and your family.
I feel like I just got teleported to another dimension. I feel like I'm coming off of drugs.
What's that important about you and me and all of us that they would poison the food, the crops, the water, the media, the government, ourselves against each other, our identities, all the constructs? What's so special about us? that dimension is you. And when it gets developed, the most dangerous person in the world is someone who knows who they really are as an entirety of a multidimensional field, to the point where dreams are no longer dreams and intuition is every day, all day long. And that's what they are afraid of the most, because that's who we were designed to be, created in God's image. So that field is the field your baby is in right now. Right now. And we strip it all away from, hush, little baby, don't you cry. So I just gave a gift to say that you are not alone in this world, because you as a multidimensional being, that's why they have all the ideas, and they're not playing in the same realm as us, because you and I went through what we went through. And we're trying to remember. They already got the memory. So it's who we are. So those dreams, they should not actually be random, but it would be as a baby going gaga goo goo. But when that part is developed, it's now just another realm. It's just you in another realm, and the intuition is you in another realm. So if you saw how ABCs work, there's an ABC version of that too. And it's really, really, really fascinating. The more trust we have in ourselves, and all of a sudden, the galactic doesn't seem so out there, because it's actually all of us.
How are we supposed to continue an interview? I feel like I can't even speak.
Because they gave us that language, because your original language had no human words. It was sound, frequency, and vibration.
At one point, I was convinced you were right here. I was literally convinced. I wanted to open my eyes, but then I didn't.
There's the human version of Garrain, and then there's the field of all the versions of Garrain in every realm. There's a magical world of resonance, and the attack is so you don't know that magical world. Because if you do, there's nothing anyone can do. Not one thing. Can you imagine 75 Michael Jacksons in one room, 75 Buddhas, 75 Yeshuas of Nazareth, 75? People just lie about everything. So the question you got to always ask is, what is it about me that in my entire lifetime, including all of my ancestors, it would go through that much trouble to push us down, to lie to us, to keep us limited? What would bigness look like when we're created in the image of God? Frequency and resonance is a very powerful thing to get into.
Thank you.
You're so very welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to share my gift.
That was magic. I felt like pure magic.
I'll send it to you.
Please.
Yeah,
It'll help me through my
because
birth.
what I was feeling, there was an energy, and that has a resonance. Like everything that you touch, there's a sound that goes with it. A drill. Same sound. It's just you got to get past all the other stuff on the surface. And so how I was feeling as we were going back and forth, and I was like, oh, let me go find sounds. So I had to go through I'm not looking at a few sounds. It's 150,000 sounds. And you just got to make it work, but there's also billions of people. How do your best friends become your best friends, and what is it about them? It's the resonance that they hold. So when we come together, it produces this amplified resonance. And so all I'm trying to do is just find the right sounds and try this. And, oh, I made a mistake here. Let me try this. Let me feel into my belly. Let me see how you're responding. Okay, cool. And it's like taking that and making a recipe. And then something said, stop. And I said, okay. Because I was trying to do something. That was the human. That's the ego. But then creation said, stop. Turn it down. The sound was the point to begin with.
It felt like a wave. It felt like a wave that was building.
Yeah. So anytime you are feeling, I feel maybe a little off or something like that, you just play it. And then all of a sudden it'll drop you. You listen to songs from when you're in childhood, 30 years later, all of a sudden it teleports you right to that moment. You'll never be able to forget this moment. And then this recorded the resonance of this moment. So all of a sudden it's like, you just listen. You don't even need words, because words aren't the original language. It immediately goes to the body. And this is why I said, those who control the music control the people. So if you learn how to control the music inside of you, you can't be controlled by the outside music, because you have developed a system that can hold the capacity of truth that cannot be tampered with.
Wow. I'm never speechless, and I feel like I can't speak. Like, I feel like my tongue is tied.
Probably asking you to go in.
Yeah.
To the real speak.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're so very welcome, my friend.
It brought me to a very earthly thing, but to think about the number of times I've been in vehicles with people. And I can't tell you how many times someone will go to put on music, and my whole body just like tenses and tightens, and I'm like, please turn it off. Like, please turn it off. I don't want to listen to that resonance, like that frequency.
Yeah, because it doesn't match the one of truth in your body, and that's what it is.
Well, why don't you like that song?
That song or that artist? No, it's the resonance that's creating the dissonance in your truth. And so what people do, they will go against that. If enough people are in a different resonance, even if it's not true, but they don't want to be the one singled out, they'll go against their truth. And that's where the breakdown occurs. That's where the breakdown occurs in the voice.
The question from earlier.
The breakdown occurs when the truth is distorted. And you go against that. When you go against that, it closes up.
Wow.
But when you honor that, interesting how you just know how to speak effortlessly. Most people don't know how to speak. So what that tells me, number one fear, public speaking. It's the number one problem for humanity. They're out of resonance of their true nature. That part right there. Because a bird who doesn't even know it's a bird is too busy being, and it just takes flight. But if a bird were to try to be an alligator, something it's not, you can see how life would be difficult.
Right.
It's out of resonance to its true nature.
Right. Wow. What a powerful takeaway.
Yeah.
I mean, on so many levels. You're talking on an incredibly deep level, but also like, for the person who's listening, it's like, it's even the room or the relationship that you're in. Why doesn't it feel right? Why doesn't it feel right?
Why does it feel right? I've counseled people that said, I knew when I was walking down the aisle.
Oh, it didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right, but I said, we already spent all this money.
Right. Right.
And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings that drove all this way.
Right.
And then 5 years later, the cheating, the thing, how could this ever happen? You know how it happened. And you denied that part of you. You denied it. That little voice is not little. It was just surrounded by bullshit. And you lied to yourself. That's what causes the ripple effect of the explosion. Because that's the seed. That's why you can have a good life and be like, well, how's all these bad things happening? And it's like, because at the seed of the decision, you try to get back at somebody. So now you're harboring the resonance of revenge in the seed that looks like good, but it still feels the same way that you felt when you made that decision. Crazy.
It's wild.
I had to learn the hard way. So I'll never have to learn that lesson again. I'm great. I'm straight. Did we close?
No, we didn't. At one point, I forgot that we were even doing an interview.
Me too.
I literally forgot.
Okay,
We have about 5 more minutes, so they're going to kick us out of here.
Perfect.
So,
damn, I gotta get home. I have a webinar at 6:00.
Okay, let's just do one wrap-up question. There's so much left, and I feel like just what's coming through for me, and you've talked about it so much, but if there is one powerful gift that you want to remind people that's within them, as they take away from this episode, and you went so deep into so many different things, and they're trying to pull it back into the linear of business and the linear of how do I be that one step, 1% better every single day, the reminder of the power that they have within them. What do you want to share with them?
Okay, I'm going to go straight linear. At every quarter, your boss takes an inventory of the products and of the people. Whichever people aren't cutting it with what's required to be done at work, those people who they either fire, give a warning, or they let go. I want you to treat your life, and you're the head of your own life, and you look at, and you write down on a piece of paper all the areas that you know are not working the way that you want them to work. Get them on a piece of paper and look at it, because you got to get the puzzle pieces out of the box first before you can put them together. Don't try to put them together in your head. Get them out. Look. You're like, wow, it's like, okay, my health. Just like I'm always angry and I'm struggling in this area. And just look at it. Now I want you to write on a separate sheet of paper all of the areas that are working the way that you actually want them to work. Look at it. Notice the difference in your body, the way that you feel when you look at it. Now, there's something you are doing that's creating that result. And I want you to write down the habits, the traits, and the behaviors that's creating a result that you actually like, that makes you feel blissful. Take those same traits, habits, and results, and take that and transfer it to the areas in your life that aren't working, and you will get the same result. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. You'll be like, oh, I just have confidence issues. No, you don't. How could you say that? You don't know me. What's your name? What size shoe do you wear? Where are you from? They can answer it. Bam, bam. That sounds pretty confident to me. So you don't have a confident issue. You have a rep issue. You need to get more reps in the thing that you're not confident in. And so it's confidence, but I'm confident in brushing my teeth. I'm confident in doing my hair, making my fashion. There's a thing that you do. What do? I look in the mirror. I see how I want my hair to done. All right, cool. So when you want to be confident in something, do you see first the vision of what it is that you want? And then take yourself through continuous repetition until it assumes the power and the energy of what you want. Have you done that? No, I tried it a time or two and I figured that it just wasn't in divine alignment. I'm like, no, you need divine help with getting your reps in. They're like, oh, So that's what I would do. What you don't like, what doesn't feel good, what you do like that does feel good, what are the habits, traits, and characteristics that you embody inside of this? Take one of those, and it's market testing, and test it. It's in an area of your life like fitness or something like that. Test it in that area and see what happens in 90 days. Why does it have to be so long? You've been lying to yourself for 30 years. You can't give yourself 90 days of trying something different? Never really thought about it that way. Exactly. That's probably the issue. That's what I would do.
Okay. Any last final words of wisdom? Anything else that you want to leave them with? And what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Get plugged into your world.
Your gift is very special. Something inside of you that's very special. And that something that's inside of you contains all of the magic of everything that you're looking for outside of you. What you're looking for, you already have. And you're a very special soul. The only way that I could say that is if I see that within myself as well. Be kind with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. You're going to need it. And I want to let you know that it's not over until you say it's done. And right now it's not done. So you can get back on that horse. You can pick your head up, posture up, pick your chest up, head, and know that your day is coming. And it might be tomorrow, it might be 10 years from now, but you trust and believe. It might be difficult, but it will be worth it. And when it's worth it, I want you to look back on this moment that you decided to give yourself not a fighting chance, but a loving chance to experience the fullest expression of the beauty to which you were designed, and bring that gift, bring that, there's something that you have that no one else has, and bring that to the world.
Amen. Instagram,
Garrain.Jones, website, GarrainJones.com.
amazing. Album coming out in the spring.
Album coming out in God's new year.
An Artist Power Retreat. Next one?
The next one, there's actually going to be, it's going to be a mentorship day at a sacred temple, but I have a 12-week creator development course starting early October.
Great.
Early August. And that creator development course is a lot about what we talked about at the end.
Okay.
Where we're developing the non-physical world aspects of you and everything. So you can't be embodied if you don't use your full spectrum of self. So we're going to be working on the full spectrum, the multidimensionality of the self, so that you can create from the deepest well and the deepest source of creation, and not a filtered version. And, there's a reason why our pineal gland, which is the gateway to our multidimensionality, is calcified. And we teach you how to decalcify all of that, and so that you can operate from the fullest expression of your multidimensional self without leaving anything on the table.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I will share all of that
when
it comes out for everyone here and on social and email and all of the places for you. Thank you for your magic.
So very welcome.
Thank you we've never had a guest like you on the show, and I assumed it was going to be
I've never done
way.
this on a show, but something told me to bring this.
Let's go. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to end this the traditional way, because I just don't feel like that's going to do it justice. I'm just going to say thank you from my heart. And all of his information will be in the show notes, and give him a follow and let him know how much that this impacted you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, friend.